Hello, and welcome back to the Women's Rugby Show weekly podcast with me, Sam, by the way. Back again for 2025, what's sure to be a brilliant year for women's rugby. On the episode this week, we'll be talking all things PWR with words from the Saracens, Bristol Bears, Gloucester-Hartpury and Harlequins camps, as well as looking into the Celtic Challenge with Edinburgh's Natasha Logan as they face Brython Thunder this Saturday. It's sure to be a belter of an episode, which is going to be a brilliant year for women's rugby. So make sure you check this episode out and also check us out across all social medias as well. Get into this one. Yeah, hi Alex, happy New Year. Just to kind of jump on Ben's question, I think it's quite noticeable across the league. There's a few injuries more than you probably see in the last couple of years. Is that something you've noticed, and just kind of how difficult has that been to manage kind of perhaps an increased injury workload?
Yeah, to be honest, Sam, like it was something that we've been expecting. So I'd say that we probably carried a more depth in our squad, certainly in certain positions, because let's be fair, like getting hold of a front row, for example, is difficult to do on the fly during such a short season as well. It's not like players have just got the opportunity to fly in for a few weeks. So it's something that I've expected and something that unfortunately is coming to fruition. But as Ben alluded to, the season is short and sharp, and it's very attritional. It's harder. They've come off the back of WXV, which comes off the back of a league season, which comes off the back of Six Nations. It's there's a lot being asked of the players, and even the players that are not involved in international rugby tend to be the players that are also combining rugby with careers or study. So you're asking a lot of time, a lot of their time as well, and balancing that with their full-time kind of occupation. So it is challenging. It's not unexpected, and as I said, I think it's something that this is a very unique season, and we understand the challenges and the opportunities around it as well. I'm not just saying woe is us as a club or other clubs, but I think once we get the balance and the global calendar gets into full swing, it will be a far better balance, and hopefully we'll see the prevalence of injuries fall. But also, it is the nature of the game, isn't it? We work off probably a couple of players missing the next game from the one that they've played on any weekend anyway. But it is a challenge, and we do need to get the balance of high quality rugby and playing players, and that is more squad rotation. It is making sure opportunities are given to other players within the group. The youngsters coming through, their preparation, their physical foundation is better, so that when they come into the senior environment, they can thrive and meet the demands of it, rather than sometimes there's that little bit of a gap between what they're capable of and what and what's being required of them. So I think it's a big learning curve for us all, but not an unexpected one.
Obviously, Loughborough this weekend decide who've I think they faced three out of the current top five in that kind of top four situation at the moment. Just kind of how wary of the threat are you that they could seriously disrupt someone's top four challenge this season?
I couldn't care about them disrupting somebody else's top four. What I'm really worried about is them disrupting ours. And obviously, we've played them, 3 games ago, something like that, at home, and it was a very tight game. That went down to the wire. I think we got a kick at the end that knocked them out of bonus point territory. So that tells you it's tight. So yeah, they are a very good team. As I've said, they can hurt you in a lot of ways, and we've just got to make sure that they don't upset our potential playoff push. We've got to make sure we take care of business, and you know if we do that and they happen to beat someone else who's in around that top four picture, then brilliant. But ultimately, I just need to care about what we do and how we perform against them. And we know that not just this season, that all the last 3, 4 seasons that we've played them in playoff semi-finals. We played them, tends to be the last game of the season. We've done that for last few years, and they've been tight affairs. So we need to make sure that we come out on the right side of it this weekend. And to do that, we've got to play well, and we've got to play consistently well for 80 minutes, which is something that we might not have nailed just yet.
And then just quickly for me, one more. Just obviously Leicester the week after, and then a week's break before you head into Quins. Is there any kind of looking forward to rotation or any kind of thinking about possible rotation head into that gap?
No, look, we again said we've mapped out kind of projected squads and involvements for players, and that's continually reviewed. It's not a season. I don't think there ever will be a season where you can play the same 23. So there's our planning, but also we've got to react to what unfolds. Hopefully we don't, touch wood, pick up too many knocks, niggles, or serious injuries. But there will be, by the nature of it, there will be rotation. Some of that will be planned. Some of that will probably be the forced our hand a little bit.
Of course, hi Lottie, happy New Year. Hope you had a good Christmas break as well. Just first of all, how exciting are you to kind of get into rugby in 2025, a massive year for women's rugby?
Super excited. It's a huge year with the season being so condensed. So going into the last kind of part of the season, PWR final feels like just around the corner now. Obviously the World Cup as well this year. So on the whole, lots of exciting things to come.
Obviously, the top four battle in the PWR is kind of a lot more open than it has been in the last few years when the top four has been pretty set from right near the start of the season, but just kind of probably not as nice for a player, but how nice is it for the league and kind of as a neutral to see that these are five teams battling for those top four spaces?
Yeah, it's amazing for women's rugby to show the quality and how far the game's come in these few seasons compared to where we were, like you say, 4 or 5 seasons ago. It's tough being one of those teams now that kind of used to be in the top two, top three, but now having to fight for those positions a lot harder and coming up against teams more regularly in the season where the game's a lot more competitive. But like you say, for women's rugby, it's what we need to keep on driving the standards within the team.
Obviously, Loughborough this weekend, a fair few of their side players you know very well from the USA side. Just what's Alev like to play with, and what do you think she's going to be like to play against at the weekend?
She's brilliant to play with because you just know that she gets you momentum on the ball. You can't, when you're defending her, you can't push off too early because if you're tackling her, you need to be 100% in that tackle because she's such a strong athlete. So any weak shoulder, she'll absolutely drive through and be able to make the gain line. So coming up against her, we know that we need to front up on those tackles. We need to put some big double hits in order to stop her doing what she's so amazing at.
And a back three that's quite dangerous with Chrissy and Fran Goldthorpe in there as well. Just how tough is it going to be for you defending in that back three on Sunday?
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to pose a lot of challenges to us. Like you say, we've been prepped throughout the year, though. We're coming up against a lot of sides now, which have the ability to push it wide and have that super strength on the outside as the back three with speed out there. So um, we have been prepping for it, like you say, the likes of Bristol. They love to push it wide as well. So it's just kind of honing in on knowing that that's what they're going to do and making sure that we're pushing them to the edges and using that touchline to help us a little bit too.
And just kind of last one for me, looking forward to the next couple of games you got Loughborough then Leicester. Just how important will it be kind of making sure you pick up the maximum points kind of heading into that final stage of the season? Obviously, we've seen Bristol not getting that second bonus point against yourself. Just kind of how key could bonus points be come the end of the season?
Yeah, like you say, we know how important every point is at the moment now, in order to make top four. So it's a case of every weekend making sure we go out there and give everything we've got in order to get the maximum amount of points we can.
Massively, massively. I think like we've got more numbers than we thought we would have. Let's be honest. I think, like I said, we're creeping around 8,000 mark. The Dolmans open, the South Stands open. We're going to have a little horseshoe of sound, which we're really excited about. And I think, like I said, we want them to go home talking about it. It's going to be cold, so make sure the fans wrap up warm. Okay, it is going to be cold. However, the rugby should warm them up, and that's the message from me. I want people to be enjoying it, to be talking about it, to be taking pictures, photos, videos if they want to, enjoying the rugby. And like I said, telling their friends about it and then coming back for the next game.
Those two scrum half injuries to Kira and Luce, obviously Fion's been in and around. So just kind of is she back from Celtic Challenge for this weekend then?
Yes, she is. Yeah, I was watching that brilliant game, and every time she carried, I was crossing my fingers. Sam, luckily she's come back. She trained brilliantly on Tuesday. She'll be starting this weekend.
Just kind of how much influence does she bring, and just kind of how important is to have her experience of the game to kind of bring in when you have this kind of mini scrum half crisis, I suppose?
Yeah, I think like she's a very different player to the other two as well in terms of the way she bosses the forwards. She's very confident in that aspect. I think it's a great little dynamic that we've managed to get by hook or by crook, I suppose. And I think you'll see that at the weekend. She's a bit more measured, I suppose, than the other two in what she's trying to do. She's got a fantastic kicking game. Not that the other two haven't, but again, it's something that we could look to utilise a little bit more if required. So, like I said, we're just really happy. I'm happy with the way she's come in, and I'm pumped for her too as well to be back on the 15s pitch. She's got through a few games now, and I think she's done outstanding.
And just finally for me, obviously, kind of 2 massive weeks in your season, really, with Gloucester and Chiefs. Just kind of how exciting is it for a coach kind of be headed into these 2 weeks, kind of pretty crunch weeks and crunch games?
Yeah, it's great, isn't it? It's great because like we win at the weekend on Sunday, and we have to win against Exeter. We lose against Gloucester, we have to win at Exeter. Like this is professional sport, and I think, like I said, from my perspective, we're going to work a little bit harder than we did last year, and next year we'll work a little bit harder again, and like trying to work out what teams are going to do against us and so forth. I mean, I was going to go up to Hartpury and fly a drone around, but I don't want to get sacked. So I think that there's a few things. Like I said, that as coaches, you do have sleepless nights. All you can do is prepare your team as best you can, and come 12:45 Sunday, hopefully we'll be there or thereabouts.
Be very Marcelo Bielsa, that drone, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah, I was joking. Obviously, okay, I don't actually, I wouldn't, I don't know how to fly a drone, so until I learn how to do that.
But cheers, Dave. Thank you.
No worries.
Ridiculous. I mean, I talk about when I started playing in the Premiership top flight women's rugby, and I was paying every week to play. You paid £6 if you started, £4 if you came off the bench, £3 if you were a student, and you £1.50 in the pot for a jacket potato after the game. It is, more than night and day different to where it is now. And it's not just the resources that have gone in and how now, yes, we get kit provided and I don't have to pay to play, but I think more than that, it's the quality. I think that introduction of professional contracts, not just at England, but at other nations has really, kick-started, I think, a growth of athleticism across the league as well. And that in turn has really boosted the performance. And I guess it's enabled players to grow, not just in terms of strength and in the gym and athletically, but strategically, tactically, technically. So the all around the game has gone up and up and up. And with that has come sponsors, has come people watching, has come it being televised. So yeah, night and day different. But that seems like a long, long time ago now that I was paying £1.50 for a jacket potato up at Darlington.
Key are these next 2 weeks, and kind of, but how exciting are these 2 games as a player, as a leader, heading into 2 massive games, kind of 2 crunch games as well?
Yeah, they're massive in terms of they are 2 fantastic teams, 2 teams that we want to knock off. Like, no bones about it. We want to perform. We've had some incredible moments of performance, but we've also had plenty of moments this year that we've not seized opportunities. We've created stuff, but we haven't been able to capitalize on it. So they're 2 games which we can go out there, try and put our game on the pitch and try and, I guess, work on what we've been working on. And that is, controlling momentum, playing the Bristol way, being brave. And so, yeah, we're excited. I think a lot of people will be looking at the league and like how tight it is. Yes, it is tight. And yes, we're aware of that. And we're aware of like, we need to win games. But I think the pressure isn't on the result. The pressure is on the performance. If we get the performance right, then I'm fully confident that the result will follow.
Perfect. Cheers, Abby. Thank you. Just a couple of quick ones from me, kind of been touched on, but you mentioned that kind of 5,000 crowd at Ashton Gate on Sunday. Just kind of how much do you and the Gloucester-Hartpury team relish these occasions, kind of these big games and big matchups?
Yeah, we know it's going to be a massive occasion, and I think it kind of just brings an extra little bit of bubble that there's going to be such a big crowd there. Like, it's super exciting, and we just kind of want to put on a good performance, like against Bristol. Like, we know it's usually a very close game, so hopefully it'll be a bit of a nail biter and really exciting for those guys who are coming out to watch us.
And what have you kind of taken from that first game against Bristol, the loss a couple of weeks ago?
We weren't really ourselves in that game. I think we kind of missed a little bit of physicality, a little bit of edge about ourselves. Like, we weren't really up to standard. So I think we just need to make sure when we go down there, we can't let the occasion get the better of us, and we just need to stay focused on the main job itself and just get our heads down, to be honest with you. Yeah.
And Claire mentioned kind of the run-in, what you've got coming after Bristol. You've got Loughborough then. I think it's Trailfinders, Leicester, Sale, or in order somewhere. How wary of you the kind of threat that Loughborough could have on the deciding the top four this year? Obviously, they're not in that top four battle, but I think they've got yourselves, Quins, and Bristol kind of really back to back. They'll be looking to kind of take a big scalp. So just kind of how wary of that threat are you?
Yeah, definitely. I think Loughborough have the ability to upset any of those teams. Like they've got amazing players, and I think they kind of do have that in them. So I think like going for into these next 4 games, it's really important to stay on it.
Perfect. Cheers, Zoe. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
Hey, Happy New Year. Hope you had a good New Year. Just how's the recovery been from big game?
Yeah, it was a big occasion. It's always great to play at Twickenham. And yeah, it's not been too bad. Girls are staying together, ready to go for this weekend.
Yeah, just on that occasion, just kind of how special is it for a club to kind of have another world record crowd and just kind of keep breaking these records and also getting those wins and pushing for the top four?
I think it's amazing for the club. I think it's amazing for women's rugby as well. I think to really have a showcase piece straight after Christmas, everyone enjoying the celebrations, and for us as Quins to kind of be at the forefront of that is amazing. And I think we're definitely pushing women's rugby in the right direction. And it's special. It creates cool memories that we'll take with us for the rest of our lives, and hopefully just encourages more people to come and give women's rugby a chance on a stage.
Yeah, and obviously after kind of like a tough season last year for Quins, a tough couple of seasons following that league win a couple of years ago, it's kind of how nice is it to be up in there challenging and also top of the league heading into 2025?
I think we've always known we've had it in us. I think finding that spark, that bit of magic again, Ross has come in and been a great person to kind of relight that spark in us all. So I think it's been a long time coming. I think if we had it our way, we would have kind of come off the back of winning that Premiership title and carried on. But unfortunately, that's sport for you. Women's game's growing, teams are getting better, rugby's getting better. So being able to be back this season and compete is something we're all really proud of and keep pushing for. We're not at the best of our game yet. So we know that there's more to come.
Just kind of how much have you taken from Ross? Obviously, someone who played when he was playing as a professional rugby player in your position, similar positions. Just how much have you learned from individually, but also the team taking that this year?
Yeah, he's a top guy. He's obviously head coach role, but so like personable. You can speak to him on such a personal level, and he gets it from a player's point of view as well, which really helps us out. He knows, he's been there, he's done that. Obviously, me coming back from an injury, he had quite a few injuries in his career, so just having that like confidence in us girls and allowing us to have a voice, have a say, and backing us, I think that's what's really sparked this magic back up.
And you mentioned that, sorry, you mentioned that spark. Then obviously Claudia and Kaylee Powell have come in this year. Just kind of how much energy and excitement have they added to the side and added to that backline?
Yeah, they're brilliant girls, and I think that's the best thing about them. They're cracking rugby players, but to have them, their personalities in the environment has really pushed us. Alcal, another one, who just the energy and just the culture that we've created this year. We are so tight. We're such like a family, which I think really shows on the pitch. We've got each other's back. So having new faces come into Quins after losing quite big faces last year, and Emily Scott, Rachel Burford, Shauna, has really been a like real change. But it's the new generation of Quins, so it's something that we want to cherish and look after and keep. And I think the rugby's off the back of what amazing people they are and what culture we've built.
Mhm. I think it's quite noticeable how much the backline in particular, and also the whole team, are kind of playing with a smile on their face, playing like they're enjoying their rugby. Just how important is that for you to be enjoying your rugby and playing with a smile on your face, and then coming out with the results kind of on the back of that, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. I think the quote where it says you play when you're at your happiest, I think that's really reflective of some of the results we've got this year. I think obviously being in a situation in women's rugby where you've got professional players, people who are juggling alongside people who are now coming over from other countries, the main thing you want to be doing is enjoying yourself and enjoying each other's company. So that's massive for us. And training, we're enjoying ourselves. Match days, we're enjoying ourselves. And it allows for that culture to really push on, and we can also have those relationships where we can challenge each other in a respectful way, which is pushing us on as well. So I think we have such a tight-knit culture that we make sure that each other are enjoying it, and if someone's not having a great day or so on, we pick each other up, and we've got that respect for each other and that closeness that's the forefront of everything we do, is checking in on the people, not the rugby player.
Mhm. And you mentioned the injuries you've had. Obviously, it's been a really tough couple of years for you injury-wise. Just how much are you enjoying kind of that regular game time now and kind of making your mark on the league to where you were a couple of years ago?
Yeah, it's been a challenging one. It's not always been sunshine, if you like. But I think the one thing it taught me was not to take it for granted, being on the rugby pitch, being on the training pitch, and coming back and being part of something so special and something so like what we're working towards, and being able to be a part of that and be happy on the pitch again is all I ever wanted when I was injured and before I was injured. So not putting too much pressure on me rugby wise, but if I'm enjoying myself, then I'm sure the rugby will catch up.
Obviously, Trailfinders this weekend, bit of a London derby. Just how wary of you of the threat they possess, kind of disrupting this top four battle? Obviously, they're not quite in that top four battle, but they have the potential to upset any of those top five teams currently. Just how wary of that threat are you?
Yeah, obviously Quins are very wary. We've had games with Ealing in the past where they have upset us. They have come away with a result. So we know that they're going to come at us full guns blazing, but we're going to stick to our processes, stick to being a close-knit team and push on. If we want to be in top four, we've got to be able to beat teams that are below it, and if we want to win the Prem, we've got to be able to beat all teams. So we're going to treat them like anyone else this weekend, not write them off because of their position in the league, and focus on our game.
And then a week off before you head into that kind of big block of five fixtures, Sale, and then all the rest of the top four. Just kind of, first of all, how exciting is it to kind of have those four massive games back to back, and also knowing that everything's going to be decided so quickly?
Yeah, it's a lot. Obviously, it's such a short season, and last year it was such a long season. So having some back-to-back big games, we're excited for. I think we've got nothing to hide. We've got nothing to be worried about, or we've got nothing to lose this season. Coming off the back of the last seasons we've had, we've showcased what we can do, and we're the underdogs in this competition. So we're going to throw everything we can at the big teams, and they've got to cope with us. We don't need to cope with them because we've coped with them for the past couple of years. So I think it's ours to win. Mm-hmm. I think we stick to our processes, we stick to what we've been doing, and we bring the energy, and teams are seeing the new Quins.
Mm-hmm. And just finally, for me, you kind of touched on it there, but obviously you're top heading into 25, but do you feel the pressure is actually on those other teams chasing you rather than the pressure being perhaps on you for leading the league?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's very much we're focusing on us. And I think because we're focusing on us, teams can go away and do X, Y, Z. They can have us in team meetings chasing us, but our focus won't change. Our focus will always be on us as a team. And if that means that we stay at top, if that means we go second, third, fourth, fifth, our focus never changes. It's always going to be about us and what we're going to bring. So it's down to the other teams, really. It could be any team up there, and I'm sure people will keep an eye out for teams who are at the top. I think if people were asked at the start of the year to name their top 4 teams, would we have been on there? Who knows? But in our eyes, we're taking it game by game and just pushing ourselves and our performance, no matter who we play.
Perfect. Cheers, Beth. Thank you, and best of luck for the weekend. A couple of quick ones for me. You kind of touched on the Bucks thing there and kind of how Cardiff, Brython and Gwali are going to be used to it with the Cardiff Met and Hartpury players. Just kind of how easy is it for you, though, kind of make the kind of prep for these games, knowing what these players could do, the likes of Savannah Picton Powell in the centres, playing against the regulars. So just kind of how easy does it make that kind of preparation?
It makes it so much easier, I would say, like especially like for one of the like for example the Brython back rows, we're very used. We know they're going to be over every single ball, and we don't need to question that. And it's a strength of theirs that we will obviously focus on in our training to get rid of and then shut it down. And I think also like Claire said that we had quite a lot of comfort from it. And we can also use our video analysis from before if we want to target actual individual players. And really look at individual strengths when we go into that as well. So it's very useful, and I think it also brings a bit of fire in our bellies as well, which probably shown in some of our other games. Because we really want to show them that Scotland, like especially being like there's only a couple Welsh teams and then only one Scottish team. Like we really want to show like fight for our country, for example, and that like you'll see that on the pitch.
Obviously, I've asked Claire about the second row, but I think it's kind of key for you as well, the 2 internationals you're coming up against. Just kind of how special does that make this competition, knowing that you're playing against some of the best of the best?
No, it's very useful playing against the best of the best. Obviously, like we've done our analysis on both the players. So like once we've done that, I think we've controlled as much variables as we can before going into the game. And it also means we know more information about them, which is also sometimes better than having a player that has got the unknowns. So from that point of view, we're excited to play them, but also like learn off them and also show that we can compete against internationals, and that we can hopefully win against internationals. And that's especially in bits like the line out with these second rows that will take place, and really try and like get the ball off them in those bits and really show dominance. I think that's really important in us showing like and opening up opportunities for like us as second rows going in the future.
And just last one for me, just kind of how important is this competition, kind of not just for your development, but also those players in Edinburgh Uni, those players in the Scottish Pathway who are getting now regular game time in such a big competition?
No, it's like it's completely pivotal, like especially even like having the laws be aligned with what the national team play with. Like it really bridges that jump across, like especially like tackle height and stuff. Like we wouldn't be used to that, and going into a new environment without having practiced these or played these on a regular basis is quite nerve-wracking, and it also makes it hard for people to put their best foot forward. So I think from this tournament, it really preps people to go up to that next level, and it really just it makes it so much easier. And also I think it's quite a respectful tournament, I'd say. And I think people, like when I say I play for Edinburgh Rugby, it's like even like in the rugby world and without, it's got a bit of pride about it that I think sometimes people don't understand. So it's good that we can get the media and publicity that this tournament creates, and it really like levels up women's rugby. And I think it's just an amazing tournament and stepping stone to have.